Good morning from South Louisiana. Guys, I'm on the road this morning showing some buyers' homes local to where I live. So I'm in my Jeep this morning, so if it's bouncy, one thing we can say about the Louisiana roads are they are not the smoothest. And in a Jeep, they're very, even more rough. So if the video is bouncy, this is why. Here's something to keep in mind if you are thinking about buying land or a home in the near future and you want to have an advantage over anyone else who is also looking to buy in the near future. The smartest thing that you can do if you are thinking about buying land or a home is get yourself pre-approved. And the reason that you want to be pre-approved is for a couple of reasons. Number one, you want to know in any given dollar amount of what you're going to buy a house or land, what is your monthly note estimate? And that note is going to include your mortgage, your insurance, your taxes, and if you're in a flood zone, flood insurance. All right, so first thing to do before you begin looking at houses in person is know what your max budget is. The saddest thing for a buyer is to believe that you are pre-approved for way higher than you actually are. If you start looking at houses, let's just say, I'm going to give you an example. I'm going house hunting with my son on Friday, and he knows what his budget is. He knows what his monthly note looks like, and we were talking last night as we were looking at houses to go show him on Friday. He said, "Mom, it's crazy the difference the houses look from the $300,000 and below to $400,000 and below." Now he's 22, he's going to be house hunting, but he is smart enough to realize that there's a huge difference in what the homes look like when you get to the $200,000 range, to the $300,000 range, and the $400,000 range. Now listen, he's 22 years old, and he can afford to buy way more than he's ever going to buy. And if you're young and you're looking to buy your first home, what you will not want to do is be house poor. And so I will tell you the same thing that I said to my 22-year-old. You do not want to be house poor. You do not want to have to spend so much money on a monthly note each month that you can't do anything else. So if you can afford a note, let's say of if you can afford a note of $3,000 a month, but you know that you're not going to be able to do anything else fun, you're not going to be able to take trips, you're not going to be able to eat out, right? Then you have to think about what number do I feel comfortable paying each month so that I'm not house poor. So I'm going to give you the same advice I gave him. Number one, you're getting pre-approved so that you know what loan type you're pre-approved for. You know what your monthly note looks like. You know what you're willing to pay and what you're not willing to pay. You know what loan type you have, because certain loan types only will allow you to buy houses in certain areas and with certain characteristics. So for example, if you are pre-approved with any kind of government loan, like USDA, a veterans loan, a VA loan, an FHA loan, you will not be able to buy a home that is in major repair, that needs to have windows fixed, paint painted, wood fixed, unless the seller says whatever the appraiser flags will fix, right? That's a different situation right there. If you're wanting to buy a fixer-upper and you have a government loan and you are lucky enough that the seller has said whatever the appraiser flags will fix it, listen, that doesn't happen very often, because most of the time a home that is in need of lots and lots of repairs, it's because number one, the people didn't have the money to fix it in the first place, and they sure don't now. Number two, it's an inherited home that these siblings surely don't want to take the time to put any more money into, right? So there's lots of situations where that occurs. If you want to have a huge advantage as a buyer, so that the minute a home hits the market or land hits the market, the smartest thing to do is get pre-approved so that you know what your monthly budget is, you know what your max level of looking at is. You don't want to start looking at homes way outside your budget before you're pre-approved, and then you realize that you can't even afford to buy those homes. Because listen, once you start looking at homes, let's say you're pre-approved for $200,000, but you don't know that, and you start looking at homes in the $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 range. Listen, when you go then start looking at houses that are really in your budget, that are below what you thought you were pre-approved for, that you will be very sad. You will be very, very sad, because there's a huge difference in homes every single time you go up, probably even about $50,000, right? So there's differences in homes between $200,000, $250,000, $300,000, $350,000. So getting pre-approved and knowing what homes that you are qualified for makes all the sense in the world. Now listen, if you think your credit is so terrible that you can't get pre-approved, I would say give it a shot anyway. And another thing to keep in mind is you do not need 20% down. That is a huge misconception that people have. The most you probably ever will need to put down is 5%, and that's if you bought a house before. If you are a first-time home buyer, the likelihood is the most you will ever have to put down is 3.5%. In fact, you may very well qualify for 100% financing. So if you're not sure and you don't know what to do, give me a call or message me. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Y'all take care and have a great day.